and welcome to the Enchantress Society with Tia Johnson, a place where you get to be you, where you get to unlock your magic in a sacred and judgment-free zone. The Enchantress Society is your witchy sisterhood of enchanting women who guides and supports you along your spiritual journey from the mundane to the magical. I invite you to sit for a spell as I interview guests and spill the spiritual tea on how we can create the magical life we deserve. Hello there. So many announcements today. So excited, but I'm trying to remain calm because I don't want my voice to go loud and hurt your ear. But yes, welcome first and foremost to the new podcast named The Enchantress Society with Tia Johnson. So if you are a little bit of a sleuth, you may have been noticing the change in the vibe and tune of the podcast. Is a little bit more magical, a little bit more witchy. And with the Enchantress Society, it all makes sense now to me. Everything I've done led up to this. And what I mean by that is this is now my new business. So I'm so giddy about this. I wanted to create a magical community geared towards women, really. Not that I have anything against men. I want to put that out there, but I work with women. I identify as woman. I am a woman, all that jazz. It's the energy that I embody mostly. I do have a lot of male energy, but I've worked mostly with women and men here and there. So I wanted to create a magical community where women felt safe, where they were able to be vulnerable, where it was a non-judgmental zone for them to really explore who they are, their magic, their gifts, spirituality, all of that. And when I was thinking of the name, I was meditating very hard with this. So I want to say that this was months in the making, but honestly, it's been years. This Enchantress Society, before I even knew what it was going to be, I was working towards it. In hindsight, everything I've done is leading up to this. And so I want to break down the name, talk a little bit more about the origin story, what to expect from the Enchantress Society. And also with the Enchantress Society, there's the Enchantress Coven. Yes, I'm creating a coven. I am excited. And my voice got really loud. But I'm going to tell you what that means because this is so important. And this is the best way I can help a lot of people. All right. So with the Enchantress, I wanted a term that will encompass what I wanted to get out there to represent the sexy woman who is magical. And even if you don't feel sexy right now, you're going to work towards that. I was in that same boat. I used to wear big bulky glasses, big sweaters, and just there. And sexy was the farthest thing from my mind to describe myself. Okay. This is before I got facials and everything, but that's not solely what sexy is. I'm going to get to that point. So I've worked extremely hard over the last decade or so to unlearn a lot of things, to learn a lot of things, to live my truth, to show up unapologetically, and honestly, to not give a fuck about people who have negative energy about what they think I should be doing, whether it's a comment about my tattoos or whatever it is. I'm in my own lane. Like I got on blinders. Okay. Like that's what it is. Because for too long in my childhood years and my young adult years, I gave too much leeway for people overly considering their thoughts and feelings and taking their so-called constructive criticism, that all that ended. Okay. I've done a lot of shadow work and I'm so happy and whole and pleased and everything in the space that I'm in. Not saying that I wasn't whole before, but this is a new level of awareness and self-commitment and being comfortable in my own skin. And I wanted to help more women do the same, to cut down the learning curve for them. That's how it is, right? With all the authors, I've read their material and consumed their videos. They cut down my learning curve, right? So now I'm here to cut down your learning curve, to be your what do you call that? The light tower in the ocean, guiding you, your guiding light. I'm here as a co-pilot for you. And so now I'm at the point where, yeah, I would describe sexy, when I talk about myself. I'm sexy, beautiful. Okay. It's a process. So I wanted something to represent the shoes that we will be stepping into, right? Where we're at currently, we're already magical. We just got to turn up the volume. We're already sexy, and you get to define your sexiness. What's sexy to someone is not sexy to someone else. So it's where we're at now, and then also where we're stepping into. But the Enchantress is a beautiful woman who wields magic. Perfect. And then society, not to be like, hi, society, but more along the lines of a lifestyle. Like I know I said magical community because that's just the keywords that people can easily identify with. Magical community, boom. That translates into Enchantress Society. This is a lifestyle. Okay. It's not just something that, we pull a card, we get a crystal. No, this is part of who we are. Okay. Our chakras are in us energetically. Okay. Intuition is real. Magic is real. Sure, maybe it's not so much like, the magic we see in the movies, but it's there. Just like with anything else, different universes have different forms of magic, so to speak. Just like, and I'm making a movie reference, okay, because, that's what I do. Think of all the zombie movies. Each zombie universe, if you will, is different than the other. I would have conversation with my brother, and I said, you know what? If there ever was a zombie outbreak in real life and it was like the zombies in Resident Evil, just kill me. They mutate. They're super fast. They're super tall, so their strides are, quicker and shorter because they're tall. Where are you running to? But if they're like the zombies in Walking Dead, they're really slow. You can pretty much survive in a way. So you see what I'm saying? It's different. They're not, where at least when I stopped watching The Walking Dead, okay? So you get what I'm saying. And that's what it's about. I wanted to create a place where you get to be you. The Enchantress Society is for spiritually centered women who want to live her truth. And that's women with an X. So I know you can't tell. I want to clear that. Okay. To help her live her truth, unlock her magic, reconnect with the goddess, and create the magical life she desires. That's what we want, right? I know many people listening to this podcast have been daydreamers, right? Fantasizing about things, the life you want to have, etc. So this is a 3-part announcement to do a midway little recap. The podcast is now the Enchantress Society with Tia Johnson. And it's interesting because I've been podcasting for about almost a decade now, roughly. And those of you who've been around for the longest time now know that this is the 3rd time this podcast is going to a name change, but it's with good reasoning. The vibe is different. And if you've been a little bit of a sleuth, you've been noticing, the difference. So change is good. Okay. And when I changed the podcast name to Spiritual Empowerment Living, that was years after its original name. So the Enchantress Society is now my new business. And I'll talk about probably in another episode because that's a whole nother story. My original business name, Violet Sanctuary Spa, and Enchantress Society now, and all that. There's a lot, and just going by Tia Johnson also. So this change is the vibe that felt right for me. Like I said, I've been pondering. This has been on my mind for months and months and months. And I am just so excited to dive into this. So that's the Enchantress Society. So whether you are just starting to unravel your magic or you're familiar with it, the Enchantress Society is here to support you on multiple levels, which leads me to the Enchantress Coven. So with the coven, and yes, I'm creating a coven. This is like so crazy to me to think about because if you told me this 5, 10 years ago, even a year ago, I'd have been like, maybe. Not to have anything against it. It's just it's interesting to see the growth and the change. So with the coven, I broke down the pathways into 4 phases because that's what I do. I present pathways to people, foundational strategies to people. That's why I focus a lot on the foundations of magic. For example, I talk about what do you do in the mundane world? How do you take care of yourself? Okay, now let's focus on boundaries and confidence. Okay, let's focus on protection magic. It's a stepping stone, but I don't jump to ceremonial magic or something else or blood magic. I mean, we could start off with that, but the path that I discovered that worked best for me was that way. And the people who are attracted to my vibe, that tends to be their path, or at least a similar path. So it's not the only path, right? It's one path. And that's how I work with people. Even when I do readings and people ask me, questions about things, I see paths all the time. So that's who I am. And I guess that's also why it makes sense that I work so closely with Hecate, at the crossroads, helping people that way. So the 4 phases, I broke them down into witchy phases. We have the newbie witch. And I'm going to explain also why these phases are important and what that looks like in the coven. And actually, let me just pause it right here because I wanted to do a little backtrack. Let me see, where am I here? I'm scrolling down a page. So this page isn't even live yet, guys. I was going to give you the link. The link would be in the bio of this episode. It's tiamariejohnson.com/ Enchantress Society. I'm trying to see if it's the Enchantress Society or Enchantress Society. Either way, the link would be in the bio or description of this episode, so you can look at all the goodies that are here. So anyway, the newbie witch is the witch who is just starting out, just discovering your gifts. You're looking for guidance with confidence, boundaries, magic, and more. Okay. And then next we have the brightest witch. And I have nicknames for these witches too. The brightest witch. This means that you're familiar with your gifts. You're looking to expand, go deeper, be the best version of yourself and with your gifts. The witch queen. Okay. You've created, for the most part, a magical life when you're at this stage, but you're still not where you want to be. So there are some aspects that you still are working on. So you're looking for support regarding creating your legacy, finding a supportive community of magical people, and help with your blind spots and expanding your magic. And for the witch goddess, we have you're the HBIC. If you don't know what that means head bitch in charge. At this point, you're seeking assistance in areas such as maintaining and protecting your legacy, developing your spiritual counsel, writing that book, starting that YouTube channel, unlocking more of your magic, learning different ways to show up in the world. So those are the 4 stages. And my nicknames for them are the worst witch, Mildred Hubble. So if you watch, so I'm not saying that you're a bad witch. It's a show called The Worst Witch because the main character is called Mildred Hubble, and she's lovable, but she's quirky, and she's just discovering her powers. And it's really cool. She's just starting out in the school. She's making new friends. And so that's what that is. The brightest witch is Hermione. Okay. And, she's one of the main characters in Harry Potter, extremely smart, but, like Hermione, has a lot of energy and she loves to absorb knowledge and she applies it well and supports her friends and so forth. So this is great for you if you are someone who loves, knowledge. You got to get more. It also has some direction with that too. And the witch queen is Maleficent. She is my favorite Disney villain since I was a kid. Yeah, I do root for the villain sometimes. And so yeah, Maleficent, when you read about her, like the story, like the old versions of her story, she was misunderstood. A queen who was called crazy because the king was cheating and all this other stuff, and she was calling out people. So she basically got like a bad rep, right? And that's what happens when we are really in our zone. Everyone has their own queendom, right? We're all building our empires in our own way. And, when we are on that path, we get misunderstood. People say things about us. We get called names and things like that. And so this is when your skin gets really thick. Okay. And the witch goddess is just like, you definitely don't have time for people's stuff, but you know who you are. And this is Hecate. All right. You know who you are. You're there. You're helping people. All right. So those are my nicknames for those goddesses in the Enchantress or witches, excuse me, in the Enchantress Coven. You will receive monthly training. So it's also goddess themed. Okay, so I work closely with the goddesses. So it's a goddess theme each month, and we'll work with wherever that message is. For example, for this month, it is Pravati, and we are focusing on devotion to self, self-care, all the things that involve self. So you'll get monthly training. This is video training that you can watch at your convenience, a workbook, resources based on your path, whether you're a newbie witch or witch goddess, a monthly goddess reading, which is also something you can look at your own time, and other bonuses in there. So each witch has her library. When you go in this coven, you'll see new witch library, brightest witch library, witch queen library, witch goddess library. You click on that and your resources are there. Okay. And then there are other bonuses in the coven that I'm not going to tell you. You got to see it. You got to join. So this is for you if all you needed from time to time was some genuine guidance, but instead you felt some oppressive, out of date advice is what you got. Okay. You have a gift, but you don't necessarily feel like the way you, wow, I just got tongue tied. Like you have the gift, but you are misreading signs from spirit is what I'm trying to say. You attract animals. Certain animals are just naturally coming to you. People just naturally drawn to you for whatever reason, whether it's because of your beauty, right? And then maybe that's something you can tap into with glamour magic. Maybe it's because of your wisdom. Maybe because people feel like they can open up to you and then you could be a coach. Okay. You got the feeling like there must be more. You feel more powerful in the fall months. Nighttime is better than daytime. And the list goes on. Sometimes things just work for you and you want to keep that energy going. You feel like you should be in a magical society. You're wondering, where is this magical society? You're magical, or maybe thinking about something of you as magical and you want to understand it. Okay, so all this means you're in the right place. So with the Enchantress Society as a whole, I'm going to have more classes focusing on that witch slash goddess aspect where we are diving into multiple forms of magic and lifestyle. Okay. And lifestyle, meaning I'm going to have, I don't want to say training because it's not a training, but I'm going to talk about dressing and speaking like a goddess. Okay, that's actually a chapter in my first book. And there's magic behind that. There's power behind that. So there's also going to be a lifestyle portion to that. And so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Major changes, all good. I can't wait I look forward to having you in the Enchantress Coven. It's going to be fun. Okay, I was recording videos for it yesterday. I'm so excited for you guys to see the bonus material and other things in there. And with the Enchantress Society, getting on the mail list, it helps you to be even closer with the Enchantress Society. If you follow me on Instagram, thank you. You're part of the Enchantress Society. So keep a lookout for trainings and other things, in the coven. I'm also going to have witchy happy hour. So it's a lot of things that are going to go down in this coven that is a sacred, vulnerable, safe place that's non-judgmental for you and your sisters. I am adamant about this because this sacred space is what's needed for you to grow, to learn even more about yourself, and to also understand the people in your lives, who's valuable, who's not. And you know what I mean by valuable, not to use them, but to understand what they bring to the table, right? And you might be thinking, what do I bring to the table? Trust me, more than you realize. More than you realize. And I guarantee you, if you and I had a one-on-one conversation, I can pull up a list of things that you bring to the table that you don't even realize. All right. So that's what I have for you. I'm so excited for this Enchantress Society. If you've been following me on Instagram, you've been seeing the colors. The colors are that dark purple, blue, and red. They're my favorite colors. And that's key too. Like when you focus on branding, even if it's not business, just who you are as a person. What are your colors? Because you're going to be wearing them all the time. Now I buy clothes that are on brand. I buy the colors that are on brand. So very rarely would you see me in something that's probably like lime green. Maybe dark green if I'm doing like some money spell or something like that and post it. But for the most part, red, purple, and blue. All right. So click the link in the description. Read up on the Enchantress Society. I would love to have you in the coven. This is where we get to be more intimate, have more conversations. I get to support you more in your growth. Oh, and I forgot to mention the cost. So there, get the early bird, okay, for $20. And then afterwards, it will be $25 a month. So catch that now before the prices go up. All right, because this is the first round that I am introducing the Enchantress Coven. So, get on board. Doors are open. All right, Enchantress, I will talk to you soon. As always, I'm sending you so many blessings. I'm sending you lots of love. I'm rooting for you. Remember to be kind to yourself. Remember, put yourself first. All right, until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in, Magical One. Let's keep in touch. Join the VIP email list by going to tiamariejohnson.com. And as always, I'm sending you lots of love, many blessings. I'm rooting for you. And remember to be kind to yourself. Until next time.